Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to another episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the crazy, shortened but still alive version of the Crispy Noodle podcast that we're doing here in 2020. I'm Rich Liebig,
And I'm Michael Costanzo.
and come hell or high water, we are still here to give you some sort of juicy nuggets of information that you can listen to here at the Crispy Compact Communique division of the Crispy Noodle podcast. Doing this thing virtually still, but it's a blast and still so much fun to do. The reason why I kind of preface the show like that is me and Mike, we actually had for the first time ever our first ever small gathering. We
Right.
were, of course, following all the CDC recommendations and social distancing and everything. But I saw Mike for the first time in person
In person since March.
since March.
And I was like, hello, friend.
Yeah, it was definitely like a little adjustment to like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen Mike in person this
It,
whole
it's
time.
it's so weird because we went from seeing each other minimum once a week,
Yeah, with this show.
every week for like 7 years, to then, I mean, we still see each other once a week via video, but like it it has been such a big adjustment. I didn't really fully like feel the weight of it until I saw everybody in person. In our small, there were like it's just seven of us. Small, social distanced, responsible gathering. But like I was like, oh my god, I haven't seen any of these people in like at least 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
So it was like, wow, yeah. So
So
it was fun though.
what's funny is I feel like this is kind of gonna have to be a thing that a lot of shows have to like almost like get reacquainted with. I noticed that this kind of happened a little bit with the new season of BuzzFeed Unsolved on YouTube, um, because the hosts on that show, Ryan and Shane, they've been doing the far like I'd say 98% of their content have been over some sort of virtual device, Zoom or something like
Right.
that. Um, and for BuzzFeed Unsolved, they had to get together to do their episodes that are just coming out right now. And Shane has like a similar reaction where he's like, "How do we do the show again? How do I say goodbye on the show? Do I do I tip my cap to you? What are the things that I
It
do again?"
Yeah, it's you forget some of those things. It's funny when we do the closing. I feel like both of us always forget what we normally say during the closing of our own show. I don't know if you've noticed that, but every week it's been like slightly different.
Yeah, that makes it fun. I like to throw
Makes
a
it fun.
curveball in.
Okay. I hope you realize that the first in-person episode we do back, whenever that is going to be a train wreck. At least
Yeah,
on my end. At least on my end, I'm going to be like I haven't done 2 minute drill this week in entertainment in like ages. I haven't done my odd news rant. I don't know. I'm going to forget everything.
yeah.
The
It's
riding
gonna
the bike thing is not true, Rich.
it's
I'm going to
gonna
forget.
yeah, whenever God willing, when we're eventually done of this coronavirus, at some point, yeah, we're gonna be getting back together in an actual, in our actual kitchen studio
Yeah.
again.
You're going to be so rusty with your soundboard. It's not even going to
Yeah,
be
I'm
funny.
gonna be forgetting about how I had that soundboard. Nana's
Yeah.
probably happy that this
Oh,
all
she
happened.
can't. She can't wait for you to forget some of those sound clips.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a unique feeling if you haven't seen friends in person in a while. It definitely makes a difference. But nevertheless, that was what we were up to this weekend. Yeah, we had a small little Halloween gathering, and it was just good to just see everybody in person. And of course, we were socially distancing and practicing all the guidelines and everything. We were completely outside and all that stuff.
Yep.
So
Everybody was wearing masks, and everybody was staying, 6 feet apart. It was good. It was much needed. And before the weather fully turns into like the fall, the cold fall, early winter, everybody should take a moment to try and get together outside in those small, like 6 to 8, groups of people. And yeah, you can do it safely.
yeah, and the weather I think is perfect right now. Um,
Yeah.
I noticed the weather got colder and I was fine, and everybody else was
You were
freezing.
fine. You were like lounging in your chair, like just like this, like you were like in your element.
Yeah.
You were like about to start taking off your costume. You were like perfectly fine. I'm sitting there and said I have my hands balled up into fists inside like the gloves of my costume, and then punched into my coat pockets. I couldn't feel my hands, and you're just lounging there. You're like,
Yeah.
what up?
It was like 50 degrees. I loved it.
I was freezing. I was freezing.
I know.
You were wearing layers though. You were wearing
Yeah.
layers.
Right. So that helped a little bit on my end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not. The cold really doesn't bother me. I'm pretty okay.
I know this is your season.
Yeah.
Fall is like your time to shine.
Fall and winter, I am a okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that never bothered me that much. So I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. Yeah. Rich will be outdoor social distancing until like January.
January, like, make it February. Keep going.
Hey, why stop? Go all year round.
Well, no, because then it gets too hot.
Then it gets too. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're the exact opposite of everyone else.
Right.
Okay.
But nevertheless, yeah, it was good to finally have a social distancing event in person. And yeah, if you can throw together one with your friends and loved ones, sure, why not? As long as you're doing it with the CDC guidelines in mind and social distancing guidelines, go for it.
Yeah.
And it's good to see
Absolutely.
people too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now with that out of the way, I think we should jump into the news because
we got a lot of sports topics to talk about.
yeah, we do. And some astute listeners noted that we did not cover another sport that concluded its season. So, Mike, I know you got to hold off for a little bit. We're not talking football yet. We're actually gonna talk about basketball, and
Okay.
I think I have a feeling that Mike actually wants to ask me a couple questions.
Well, I think it was interesting that you were, always very eager to talk about every other sport, except it was odd that we left out the NBA Finals. And I think that's because you might be getting a tad bit nervous to admit that LeBron won another championship, this time with the LA Lakers. The LA Lakers defeated the Miami Heat 4-2. That now brings LeBron's championship total up to 4, which makes him one of only 3 players in NBA history to have won a title with 3 different teams. Almost like any team he goes to, he makes better just with his presence. Rich, comments, concerns, critiques? I have to get your opinion because he's slowly inching closer towards Michael Jordan legacy type levels. I mean, 4 championships total, but 3 different teams. That has to be compelling, a compelling argument. Not many players have ever done that.
Yes, it is compelling, and I will say it is an achievement that he was able to do these title runs now with 3 different franchises. But again, I still want to point to the quality of these championships that he's had. Obviously, for longtime fans of the show, you know that my biggest gripe with the 2 victories with the Heat was that he was really kind of just a complimentary piece that he got added in to form.
Finals MVP in both of them.
Yeah, but he was look, you can get that still, but he was still just kind of added to the sauce, and then that put him over the hump. Which I still think is takes away some of the luster of those victories.
What about for turning around the Cavaliers and the Lakers?
The Cavaliers that win is probably his most impressive because that one he fought back from a 3-1 series deficit against the Golden State Warriors, his longtime nemesis, and he pulled that one out. That goes down as probably his best overall championship run, and that's the one that's most deserved. This one with the Lakers, kind of to me, I know Mike's ready to pounce, seems a little bit on the spectrum leaning towards that side of the Heat victory. Now, he was the leader of this Lakers team. The last 2 seasons, he has been the leader of this team and demanding that, that things are going to change because the Lakers haven't even sniffed the finals for the last 10, 11 seasons. So he was definitely changing the culture of this team. Also, it helped that he had another superstar player, Anthony Davis, next to him. So he, if he could afford to have, a couple off nights during this playoff run. But I will see that he definitely seemed to put this as a chip on his shoulder. I wish also he had a better opponent to face in the finals, because I love Jimmy Butler. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Butler, but the Miami Heat was basically the Jimmy Butler project. There was literally nobody else that Jimmy Butler had, and let's be honest, the Heat should not have made it this far in the playoffs. They were a number first. Actually, you want to stat here. The Miami Heat were a number 5 seed. That's never happened in NBA playoffs history, that a number 5 seed has made it all the way to the NBA finals. So it's already just like, huh? How did they make it? It was something that kind of was an accident of errors in the Eastern Conference. Not to take anything away from Jimmy Butler, because he still had some amazing games, but I'm still so. Look,
the argument's getting much harder for you, I can tell.
It is, but here's the thing: if you're measuring up against Michael Jordan, you need to have a stronger resume.
So hold on. Let's go resume to resume. So 4 championships, 3 different teams. You argue he wasn't a big part, but he was MVP in all those championships. He's played longer. He has more stats in every measurable category. Yes, Jordan won 3 championships twice in back-to-back seasons, but he also had 2 Hall of Famers playing next to him. Arguably, LeBron's done it with less talent around him with the Cavaliers and the Lakers. The Miami Heat, yes, he did have other players assisting him, playing alongside him, but I don't think at the same level as Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman for Michael Jordan. I mean, you can't make the argument for one and not have it be true for the other.
No, yes, you can. And here's my reasoning behind that. Especially
because it was Michael Jordan's team. That's BS.
No. Another thing too is Anthony Davis is a fellow top 5 elite player. And to go back to the Heat win, at the time, Dwayne Wade was a fellow top 10 elite player, whereas Scottie Pippen was more of a very amazing
He's a Hall of Famer.
But it wasn't to the tune. Let's put it this way: Scottie Pippen couldn't go to another organization and be the man at that. He couldn't be the franchise player you build around on another team. He's great, but he is definitely more of a complementary player that accentuated Michael Jordan and helped him win his championships. Whereas Anthony Davis, he's a guy you literally could plug into any organization and you would be able to build around him. Dwayne Wade with the Heat, he's another player. If you took him to another organization, you build around him. It's definitely, I see a definitive jump between those two arguments. I don't think they're apples and apples like you think they are.
I think it is apples and apples because you're talking about literal Hall of Famers. That Bulls team had 3 Hall of Fame caliber players for those championship runs. You can't say they can't be plugged and played anywhere else. They're Hall of Famers. By the very nature of being in the Hall of Fame, they would be plug and play type players, or they could go to other franchises.
Not plug and play, but you build your franchise and your future around them. I don't think you're.
I don't think that matters in this argument. Michael Jordan had a fantastic supporting cast for those championships. That aside, this argument now I feel that you're standing on is not as stable as it once was. I think the fact that LeBron went to 3 different franchises and arguably turned those franchises into championship caliber franchises just with his presence alone indicates that he is an incredible X factor and that he is a once in a generation type talent, same type of talent that Michael Jordan was.
So let's again reframe how we're going to attack this question. if you're telling me is LeBron James the greatest player of this era, yes, you have to. He has all the stats you want. He's now got 4 rings on 3 different teams. Yes, of course. So I'm with you there. But if you're telling me you're still going to try and have him be number 1 in terms of all-time NBA greats, I still don't see it. I really don't. It's still Michael Jordan at 1.
What about the fact that he's been to 10 championships? He's only won 4, but he's been to 10.
Well, I would counter that. I would counter that the other way and say Michael Jordan won all 6 of the finals.
But he only went to 6.
But he won every single one that he was in.
Well, what did he do the rest of the time?
Well, he had to learn. There were seasons before the
I think he's a bum.
run.
Only made it to 6 championships. He wasn't working hard enough.
I think he's a bum. What the hell?
I'm just saying you could turn that argument. LeBron has basically owned the NBA his entire career. He's been in almost every single finals.
He's been a very dominant player, but he hasn't owned the NBA. He doesn't have 6 rings.
No, there are players that have more than 6 rings.
Yes,
too.
there are. There are as well.
This is why I think it's ridiculous. You can't hang your hat on just 6 wins. And at some point, we're going to get to the point where LeBron, he's going to keep on padding his stat line. He's going to keep on surpassing Jordan in every measurable category. And now he's done a very unique feat in winning championships with 3 different franchises, 3 very different franchises in 3 very different situations with arguably less supporting talent with some of those teams. So I think the argument is slim at best.
Yeah. Well, I will still die on this hill if you really want to go down this.
And one day you will, Rich.
Yeah, I probably will. I will have a heart attack at this rate. But no, I will not admit that LeBron James is the greatest of all time. Right now it's still Jordan, and no, it's going to take more from LeBron James as far as I'm concerned. But if you ask me right now who the greatest player is of this era, yes, it is LeBron James. And to me, it's like a good transition actually in terms of NBA history, because you have like the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson era, then it transitions to Michael Jordan, then it transitions to Kobe, then it transitions to LeBron. So I feel like that's like kind of the narrative when NBA history is written from here on out.
But I guess I just don't understand the reverence. The reverence confuses me. I get that what he did was amazing, but why is it impossible to imagine players before or after him being better? Because I'm sure if you ask people who watch LeBron mostly, they're coming up in their lifetime, they easily say LeBron's the greatest of all time. And people who are older than you probably say that Michael Jordan's not the best, but somebody that predates him is probably better. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Dr. J.
I think it comes down. I think that definitely is a factor, because it's pure
preference.
I will have to admit, yeah, I do have a bias, because that's when I followed basketball, and Michael Jordan was also was actually a cultural icon too. That's something that gets left out as well.
But so was LeBron, and so were players before Jordan. I mean,
yes.
My uncle, old timer, he says that there's players, Dr. J was better than Jordan. And you can't really dispute that because that was his era.
Yes, you can make claims for either of these guys. And
I just use Dr. J as an example.
Yeah.
There's others.
Right. You could make an argument for Wilt Chamberlain. There's a lot of
Chamberlain, yeah.
There's a lot of players you can make an argument for. I stick to Michael Jordan. Number one, I will admit my bias. That was when I grew up, when I followed basketball. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. He was the man. But I would also just say, just his sheer determination to win titles. I mean, he never lost a finals. Every single time he was in a finals, you had to tune in and see, oh my God, what is he like? You could tell just the wacky stuff he was going to come up with. And the insane, way he played, it was just something different. You just never saw a player be that dominant out on the court. It was definitely just a different type of player that hit that court. when Michael Jordan was with the Bulls in those two eras of three-peats. And it's something that I think holds dear to a lot of people. But we'll see.
Fair enough.
LeBron James, he's still active.
I think in the next handful of years, I think slowly the conversation will change because LeBron is not slowing down, and he's adding more finals to his resume. But
Eh,
it seems like this is a point that we will for always forever disagree on. Not that I really even care. I just like to
Mike just
push your
likes
buttons, Rich.
Mike just likes to piss me off. So
Oh,
there you go.
absolutely. I mean, I wish people could see how I wrote the rundown.
Yeah. Well, just for you, Mike, I have the graphic at the bottom say, "Will Rich admit LeBron James is the GOAT?" So no, the answer is no. I will not admit that.
Ah, damn. Well, maybe next year when LeBron wins another one. But there is something that we can agree on, that Futility Watch is back and it's full steam
Woo!
ahead.
Woo 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 woo!
This is probably
Yeah.
Rich's favorite topic in the entire world. Rich, why don't you tell us all about this week's episode of Futility Watch? What happened in Futility Watch?
Wow. So the New York Jets, boy, man.
How futile are they?
So first off, we actually need a major update from last week, because when we left the Jets talking about them last week, they had just cut Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, God.
So now we found out Le'Veon Bell is going to the Chiefs. I'm sure Andy Reid is excited to use him in the second half of this season.
As if the Chiefs weren't good enough already. Awesome.
Yeah, so good job, Andy Reid. I'm sure he's going to have some fun designing plays with Bell in mind. But now the leftovers, the Jets are just spinning with just no clue or direction on where they want to go. And now Sam Darnold apparently has a minor injury that kept him out of week 6. So Delaware's Joe Flacco had to come in and be the sacrificial quarterback for.
He's still playing?
Yes, he's the backup quarterback for the
How
New York
old
Jets.
is he?
He's got to be up there. And it went about as well as you would expect. The Jets got blanked by a division rival, the Dolphins, 24-0. And in this game, somehow the Jets anointed a new quarterback of the future. Not their own quarterback. They played so badly that Miami was confident to pull Ryan Fitzpatrick and let Tua Tagovailoa come out and lead a drive on his own. And now Miami is going to run with Tua after their bye week because they loved his performance so much. The Jets are so bad, they actually have helped other teams figure out who their franchise quarterback is, but not their own.
That's impressive. That's impressive. That is definitely achievement for the Jets. They're
Yes.
very good talent evaluators, just not for their own team.
Yes, for other teams.
The Jets really could go 0-16. I know this is one of those. This was one of those question mark games. The Dolphins, they're bad. They're not that good. They resoundingly beat them 24-0. Anytime a team gets blanked is bad, but a division rival, that is embarrassing.
Yeah.
These are the teams you supposedly know the best.
0.
Yeah.
I think didn't somebody say Adam Gase was supposed to be an offensive genius? Whatever happened to that?
He's going to get run out of town at this rate. I'm hearing rumblings that they do not like him, that players are not happy with the way things are going. I mean, this is definitely a do or die season for them, and so far they are dead.
Yeah, they're dead. The body's already at the morgue. I don't see
They're
how
pushing it in. They're pushing it into the furnace for cremation.
I don't see how the Jets win a game this year. This has been utterly atrocious.
Their only hope is like week 16, week 17. If everybody's made the playoffs, if the season even makes it that long, and they just stumble backwards into like a win with like a last minute field goal or something. But as the weeks go on, the probability of 0-16 increase.
Yeah. So Jets, just do everyone a favor. Just admit openly now at this point you're tanking for Trevor Lawrence, and just get it over with. Trade Sam Darnold away. Why not? You got rid of everybody else. Poor Sam Darnold.
Fire sale.
What argument can you possibly have to bring him back from that injury that he had? You know? Like, yeah, come back. Please start for us. There's so much for you to come back to on an 0-7, 0-6, 0-7 team.
Right, exactly.
Like he might. If I'm Sam Darnold, I would say I got COVID. I would say
and just not go back. Right.
Yeah.
Look, just collect your guaranteed money and just ride out the season on the bench. No reason to put your body through that.
Yeah. Why?
Absolutely.
Why would you risk a further devastating injury on this dilapidated team that is being presented from the New York Football Jets?
Don't lay down your life for the Jets.
Yeah, no. So unless he gets traded before the trade deadline, if I was Sam Darnold, I would find ways to not play. This is atrocious.
Look, if I were the Jets, I'd be sellers at the trade deadline.
Sellers? Who do they have?
Just everybody. Just trade away everybody. Trade them for, like, I don't know.
They already did. They already got rid of everybody.
Trade even more. Get as many 7th round picks as you can. Just play it like Madden, where you
Mike, they traded a linebacker Sunday night after the game just to move up from a 7th round pick to a 6th round pick.
That's the type of stuff they got to do.
So yeah, they're already doing nickel and dime stuff like that. But
look, what else are they going to do? That's their only option. It's just fire sale. When you're that bad and you have that, when other teams are bad. So when the Browns were bad, you could see that they were making an effort. They were collecting 1st round picks. They were slowly accumulating players. They were getting pieces here and there as they were sucking. And now they're doing all right. The Jets, they don't have anything going for them right now. They're just bad. They're just really, really bad.
Trade Sam Darnold. Just jettison him off.
Trade whoever you can for whatever you can get, and then Madden your way up that draft board. Package 5 7th rounders together for 2 6th rounders, and just keep. You know how you do in Madden.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, maybe they'll take 3 3rd rounders and you get a 2nd. Just weasel your way up there to a couple of 1st round picks if you can. I don't know if anybody would actually trade with them that far, but you got to do something.
They do have a couple of 1st round picks from the Jamal Adams trade. So in terms of that, their draft capital is actually going to be better in the future. But right now, boy, this is going to be hard to swallow for any Jets fan. Just, you know what? Don't even watch. Just stop.
Just pretend the season was canceled.
Yeah, that's probably your best course of action.
That's sort of what I'm doing right now because as we know, the Philadelphia Eagles have not exactly been much better than the Jets. The Eagles unfortunately dropped another heartbreaking loss, this time to the Baltimore Ravens.
No, not heartbreaking loss. Don't give me that. I got to pull something out right now.
What?
Okay. No.
What?
The last 2 games, all right, the Steelers and the Ravens games that the Eagles lost to, and then they randomly, they would fight back in the 3rd and 4th quarter.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one hearing this. I've heard this from like local sports radio and like the Fox post-game shows. They valiantly fought back in the second half. No. These defenses are playing prevent and are putting their backups in the second half of these games. No, the Eagles are not showing a miraculous show of courage or whatever the hell I keep hearing. No. When it matters, the Eagles are doing atrocious. That's what you should be pulling from these last 2 games.
Yeah, so I somewhat agree and I somewhat disagree. I don't think that the Ravens ever put in backups, but when you're up 24-6, you play a little bit more conservatively.
Yeah.
So the Ravens never stopped playing because they continued to score throughout the game, but they did play a little bit more conservatively. I will say, give a little bit of credit where credit's due. The Eagles put up 22 points in the 4th quarter. I mean, that was a pretty good showing. And at that point, the Ravens, they're like, okay, we're letting up a lot of points. We got to continue to play. But to your point, the whole valiantly fighting back narrative only works if you actually finish with a win. If you still finish with a loss, You can fight as valiantly as you want. And I'll say, yeah, sure, they fought valiantly. I agree. Fourth quarter, they made a great comeback. But it wasn't really a comeback because they didn't win. So that narrative
But it's
is
not
only
really, look, it's not really as great as people are trying to carve this out to be.
no.
Actually, if anything, this is a symptom of Kirk Cousins. You know, when he would randomly just start chucking it in the fourth quarter and rally up all these stats, but his team would still go 8-8. You know, it's garbage time yardage. It's not.
But it's not even like garbage time yardage because it's not like anybody had a spectacular game. Wentz was our second leading rusher. He only threw for 213 yards. It's not like there was some stellar outstanding performance. And if you want to talk net yards, he only net 170 because he was sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
At one point in the game they had negative passing yards.
Yep.
So I'll give the team credit for hanging in there against one of the best defenses in the league and trying to come back. They never gave up. But you have to admit that the Ravens were probably playing a little bit more conservatively in the third and fourth quarter. They probably, weren't going full tilt ahead, at least until the Eagles came screaming back in the fourth quarter. But the whole valiantly fighting narrative, it's a feel-good storyline. It's a pat yourself on the back storyline. But none of that matters when you're 1-4-1 and you end up losing the games.
Except if you're a team in the NFC least division.
Oh, God.
Because, yes, Mike, we got to talk about this again. Every team in the division except the Giants, and that's only because the Giants were facing the Washington football team, lost their game. So the Eagles somehow are still in second place in this division. Dallas got whooped by the Cardinals on Monday Night Football to my immense joy. I don't know if you watched the game, but there were Dallas Cowboys fans in the stands crying.
That does put a smile on my face.
Adult men crying.
Oh man, that's because it was supposed to be their year, Rich. They really
thought it was. So
they think it is every year. This should not be new to them. Okay.
So let's recap. The Dallas Cowboys are barely in first place at 2-4. Then the Eagles are up next at 1-4-1. Then the Washington football team and the New York Giants are at 1-5. Giants now have the tiebreaker over the Washington team. Mike, where do we go from here?
We have 5 combined wins in 6 weeks.
Yes.
Oh my God. They need to disband the NFC East. Look, as an Eagles fan, I'm officially petitioning the NFL to disband. How can we call ourselves a professional football division and muster 5 combined wins in 6 weeks? What was your original question? Why is the season continuing for the NFC East? I have no idea. I don't remember what you asked. All I know is it's a disaster. And you know what's annoying me the most about this conversation is that I see people online being like, oh, the Eagles should be active at the trade deadline to try and pick up the pieces they need to win the division. Why? For who? For what? So you can win the division with 6 wins and what? Get thoroughly thumped by a team that is so clearly leagues better than us, like the Packers or the Seahawks? Why?
Yep. Unfortunately, Mike, the reason why that last sentence seems pertinent is because an insider report was released. I forget the name of the insider now off the top of my head, but I texted it to you. Who says that Howie Roseman is in buying mode at the trade deadline.
It's so frustrating.
And thoroughly believes that this team can win the division. So unfortunately, Mike, if I had to take a guess, I think Howie is going to brainwash himself into thinking we're just a couple of plays out of being first place.
It was Jason Lock Canfora.
Thank you. I texted it to you.
That said that the Eagles are looking to be buyers. I don't know what they're buyers. Oh, this is so frustrating. And this is what I said to you in response is that we have a dire cap situation. We have a division in which, yes, 6 wins will probably win it, but 6 wins compared to whatever team goes 13-3 in the NFC, we're going to get demolished in the first round. What's happening is we have front office people trying to keep jobs.
Yep.
is what this amounts to. They're not looking to win football games. They're not looking to make a push in the playoffs. They're looking to validate themselves and to somehow stay in their position in that front office, which has done a historically bad job at drafting, a historically bad job at signing free agents, a historically bad job at evaluating talent and shedding excess weight when we need to. We're getting rid of young players to bring in aging veterans who are injury prone. Jason Peters, there had to have been an offensive lineman somewhere, anywhere, that had
Somewhere on the waiver wire, somewhere.
a knee and a half to stand on, because Jason Peters doesn't have any knees to stand on. I know I'm being hard on Jason Peters. He's an easy punching bag right now, but I don't understand how the process of you lose Andre Dillard. Okay, that sucks. Or no, first you lose Brandon Brooks. Okay, we re-signed Jason Peters to play right guard. Okay, fine, whatever, sure. Okay, he knows the system. Good for him. Then Andre Dillard goes down, and Jason Peters, who used to play left tackle, won't play left tackle until you pay him more money. So we pay him left tackle money. He gets promptly injured. I see a series of I see a series of decisions here that speak to a larger problem in the Eagles. That one, they place too much value on aging veterans. They have a soft spot, like Andy Reid used to, for keeping players around long past their expiration date. That two, there is a serious problem with injuries, whether that's strength and conditioning, whether that's medical staff, whether that's Doug Peterson's lack of discipline that I've heard. I heard that players hated Chip Kelly because he was very disciplined. We had some of the healthiest teams under Chip Kelly.
Yeah, with all those health shakes.
We have some of the most injured teams. Rich, we're down 9 of the original 11 starters on offense.
Yep.
What in the actual hell is happening during practice? Are they practicing? I'm not sure they are.
I think they're practicing with hammers.
What, hitting each other's shins?
Yeah. Oh, here you go. Dodge this.
I don't understand how you draft players like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who somehow managed a touchdown with 0 receptions and 0 rushes because he picked up a fumble from Miles Sanders. And he has less career receiving yards than Travis Fulgham does in 3 games as a Philadelphia Eagle. So who makes that decision? How does that happen? That you spend a second-round pick on somebody who literally cannot get on the field, as opposed to these other players. There are large systemic issues here. And I'm not one of those people that's just like, fire Roseman, fire everyone, clean house, fire sale. But something needs to happen. And it's not being buyers at the trade deadline.
Yeah. So, unfortunately...
I just went on a huge rant. Sorry, everyone.
Unfortunately, I don't think Mike's wish is going to come true, because if we believe Jason... who was it? Jason...
La Canfora.
If we believe him, that's not happening with
Howie. We can't trade anybody right now because Zach Ertz just got injured. He was the biggest trade chip.
Yep. So much for that. All right, let's move further into the future, because we got to go over Fantastic Four picks for week number 7. 4 games that we think you should keep an eye out for.
I'm so upset.
What do you want to? Okay. Which game do you want to talk about first?
I have to compose myself to talk about these games. First up, we have the Eagles have me so depressed. A battle of
Yep, welcome to being an Eagles fan.
Oh my God, it's just like 2 decades of just... No, we had that one shining year where we won the Super Bowl. First up in the Fantastic Four picks, we have a battle of the AFC undefeated. The Pittsburgh Steelers are traveling to Tennessee to face off against the Titans. I believe they're the last 2 undefeated teams in the AFC. Rich, who do you think has this one?
Yeah, this is interesting. Both of these teams fighting to be the last undefeated team in the conference. And they're both coming off of big wins. The Steelers coming off of a huge trouncing against the Browns that a lot of people thought maybe they were on the upswing, and all of a sudden in one game, all of the typical Cleveland doubts came swarming back to that organization. The Titans, on the other hand, had a big win against the Bills after all of their COVID crisis. So here's what I'm going to go by. I'm going to go by which team had to go through bigger crises so far this season. And between the two, it would be Tennessee. So I'm going to say that since I've seen more of Tennessee's resilience to obstacles, I'm going to go Tennessee in this one. Also, they're home. That's going to help out a little bit as well. But it wouldn't surprise me. Both of these teams are fantastic.
Yeah, so two very good teams. The Steelers have, I think, the best defense in the league. But when you look at the quality of opponents they've been playing, that's not shocking. We have the Giants, the Texans, the Eagles. I know
Yep.
the Browns are on the upswing, but they're still the Browns. Meanwhile, the Titans have faced off against equally bad teams, but they did have a tough one against the Bills. They had a tough one against the division rival in the Texans, even though the Texans suck. But they also beat the Vikings in there as well. They've been winning a lot of close games amid all of this COVID controversy. So I think it's going to be a very close game. This is probably going to be one of the better games, but I'm very narrowly giving this to Tennessee as well because I just like the quality of their opponents more than the Steelers. Look,
Yeah.
any team can beat the Eagles. That's not at this point, that's not really something to hang your hat on there, Steelers. Play better opponents. Next up, we have a battle of the West Coast birds. The Seattle Seahawks are traveling to Arizona to face off against the Cardinals. Both teams doing pretty well. The Cardinals slowly making a name for themselves this year. They're turning things around. Rich, who do you see in this one? Big division matchup. This could decide or help decide the leader of that division.
Yeah, division games are always very important. The Cardinals, I know they're coming off of a big statement win against the Cowboys, but unfortunately, it's still the NFC least. Every team in that division is atrocious.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as impressive as everybody hypes it up to be. Seahawks, Russell Wilson is having an MVP quality year. I know I said this last week about the Packers, so I'm probably going to get burned on this again. But until I see a reason to doubt the Seahawks, ride with the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's funny because we always get burned on statements like that. But
But I still
the
keep making them.
well, here's the thing: the Seahawks. It's true that the Seahawks are a very good team. They have been a very good team for a long time now. This is actually a really tough game because just looking at it on paper, the Cardinals have such a dynamic offense. They're fourth in the league on offense. Their rushing attack ranking third in the league. The Seahawks, though, they don't look great on paper, but they're the Seahawks, right? You got to give them the edge a little bit. I'm looking at the quality of opponents, and the Cardinals have beat up on some bad teams. They've lost to some bad teams. The Seahawks, though, have beaten, equally as bad teams. This is a really tough one. You know what? I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to go with Arizona at home. I'm going to be
Nah.
different. I'm going to be different. I know they had that big statement win against Dallas, which doesn't say much. They had a big win against the Jets, and that doesn't say much. But maybe the rushing attack gets something going against Seattle. Seattle's defense has historically been good, but this year not been as good as years past. So I'm thinking maybe Arizona can pull it off with a sustained ground attack. So next up, we have, let me check the rundown here, a primetime battle between the Chicago Bears and the LA Rams. This is a Monday night game with Nick Foles leading the Bears into LA. Rich, how you feeling about this one? What was that? What was that about? Not feeling this one?
This is just crazy. If you had told me 4 weeks ago that Nick Foles would be leading the Bears this, to a pretty decent season, I would be shocked. And I kind of like the Bears in this one. The Rams are coming off of a division loss to the 49ers last week on Sunday Night Football. Um, and the Rams defense is all right, but hasn't been performing up to stellar expectations that they had, with some of their big name players that they have. The Bears defense has been locked down, uh, pretty consistent. And as long as Nick Foles, as long as he doesn't commit mistakes and holds up being that traditional game manager type of role, I think the Bears win this one. They have been showing that early 4-0 start or 3-0 start that they had. A lot of people said it was a fluke. They're on a mission to show people that it's not a fluke, and that they're going to contend with the Packers in that NFC North division.
I have to say, I really like what the Bears are doing. I'm excited to see Nick Foles have a little bit of a resurgence again. But I have to say, I like the LA Rams in this one. They're top 10 in both rushing and passing. It's going to be a very formidable opponent for the Bears to overcome. They're getting it done on all aspects of the game. I'm just liking the Rams in this one. I know Nick Foles is having a little bit of a resurgence right now, but Jared Goff is playing really, really well, better than Foles. So I'm going to go with the LA Rams.
All right. And are we ready for this one?
Yeah, we got a race to the bottom. It's our very own hometown team facing off against NFC East division rival, the New York Giants. It is shockingly a Thursday night game. If you're listening to this on the audio version of the podcast, you're listening to it probably on Thursday. So you might already know the answer to this, Rich. Um, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah. Both of these teams suck. Both of these teams lose.
Both these teams lose. They they tie 0-0.
I'm gonna go with they both lose because really, it's it's just detrimental all the way around. Because let's say the Eagles do win, that's great. Now they're gonna actually think that they have a shot of winning the division, and Howie Roseman will pull the trigger on some insane trade at the deadline. So either way, the Eagles lose. Everybody loses.
Everybody loses.
That's my prediction.
Um, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to dispute that. You know what I'm finding interesting? I'm just going down the injury reports of all the different teams. The Eagles is comically large.
Yep.
Their injury report. There's no. The Eagles are favored in this game, but I think it's through sheer dumb luck. So depressed.
My answer is just everybody loses.
I mean,
stay away from this game. Don't bet anything on this game. Don't pay attention to this game. Just don't.
It's like I'm so mad at the Eagles, I want to pick against them.
Do
but
it.
The New York Giants are literally one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they're only a half game worse than we are. So what does that say about us?
Right.
I'm going to pick the Eagles because if they can't beat the Giants, then they don't deserve to be a team. So if I want to root for the Eagles next year during a real season of football, not this fake whatever season that's happening now, they have to win this game in order to stay part of the NFL. Because if I were the commissioner, I'd look at this team and go, you guys don't deserve to be here. That's how low I am on the Eagles right now. Yeah. I'm so upset with them.
All right, well, there you go. That's our Fantastic Four picks for week number 7 of the NFL season. All right, that's it. All the sports is out. Too much sports. We got to jump to the second topic in our show. We got entertainment news. And this is a topic that Mike has wanted to talk about for a while. So, we kind of kept pushing it on the back burner. So we figured this week would be a good week to talk about spoilers when it comes to movies and TV. And I hear you have a specific story you want to mention about this.
Yeah, so this actually happened a little while ago. We've been holding on to this story for a week in which there wasn't a lot of entertainment news. But basically what happened is I finally watched the movie The Usual Suspects. It was been a long time coming. I know that movie came out like literally decades ago. And one of the hallmarks of the movie is that there's a great twist, or so I've heard. There's a great twist. So for the past 2 decades or 3 decades, I've avoided hearing exactly what the twist was. But here's the issue. Even though nothing was spoiled for me, I knew that there was a twist. So I went into the movie looking for a twist. I went into the movie paying hyper attention to things. And I basically guessed the pivotal, quote unquote, plot twist early on in the film, which by when it was revealed, I was like, okay, I get it. That makes perfect sense. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't blown away. Like some people had led me to believe The Usual Suspects was going to be like this amazing plot twist, Sixth Sense type thing. And so I watched it with my girlfriend and we got to talking, and I mentioned how I knew there was going to be a twist. I sort of ruined it for myself because I figured it out early and I watch the movie with that knowledge. And we got talking about spoilers and about whether spoilers or even the threat of spoilers or knowing a twist is going to come can affect your entertainment experience. And in the case of The Usual Suspects, even though nothing was spoiled, I knew that there was a twist. And so it changed how I approached the movie. And I think it affected my enjoyment of it. I think that had I not known there was a twist, had I not known to be hyper vigilant, I may have enjoyed it more. Whereas knowing there was a twist and figuring it out early, by the end of it, I was a little let down. It was still a very good movie, but it didn't have the same weight, it didn't have the same landing as I think it did for a lot of people who weren't expecting a twist. So to you, Rich, I pose the question. Um, I know it seems obvious, but um, how do spoilers or the threat of spoilers or the knowledge of a twist affect your entertainment experience? Have you ever gone into something knowing there was a twist or having it spoiled and having it negatively impacted, or as my girlfriend says, she doesn't mind spoilers, that she actually enjoys things more when she knows what's going to happen, because then she can pick up those little breadcrumbs throughout the film the first time around, and it enhances her experience because it's like a puzzle for her.
Okay, so unfortunately, I'm going to highly disagree with your girlfriend on this.
As I did, but I want to
Um,
hear your perspective.
so she should. So the what you described, what looking for breadcrumbs, looking through the film. That's what you should do on a rewatch of that film.
That's what I said.
See, that's a good
So,
move. I think.
so I'll say this: not everybody wants to watch things, because she's not the only person that told me that. One of my cousins has also said that to me, that they went into, and this will really get you mad if that got you annoyed. Listen to this. He said he knew the big plot, not plot twist, but big plot moment, big character death in Star Wars Episode 7 before he watched the film.
Yeah.
And he didn't mind, because he wanted to know what was going to happen so that he could, oh, you don't care so much about that one.
That one, that one kind of gets a pass because there was always rumors that Han Solo had to die. Like
Whoa, spoilers, Rich. We were literally having a conversation
sorry,
about spoilers, and you just drop that.
it's the sequel trilogy. You don't have to watch it. uh,
Wow. Okay. But anyway,
um,
the point I'm making is I've heard from a few people that
yeah.
they don't mind spoilers at all.
So
And I'm with
here's
you. I vehemently disagree.
yeah, here's where I have a big issue is any sort of serious drama or thriller. You do not want to have any sort of inkling of a plot reveal or spoiler going into something like that. Whenever you're dealing with a movie like a thriller or a drama, you should see it fresh, without any sort of story plot spoilers in mind, for lack of a better word. You should go through the film, experience the surprise as it's supposed to be, and then if it's a really good movie, you want to go back, rewatch the film, and pick up those clues and those breadcrumbs, as your girlfriend calls it. Um, and that's what you should do on a second viewing, on a third viewing. That's to me, that's what makes a great movie transcend into, like an elite, like, oh my god, this is, a top, 10,
Yeah,
20, 30 movie of all time or something. So for
absolutely.
me, I'll go with one of my favorite, my favorite movies. I'll go with Inception. When I
Okay.
first saw Inception, I had no idea, you know, and any twists that were going to happen. So when I got to when I finished the movie, I was just dumbfounded. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." And it made me want to rewatch the movie again so I can pick up on those things. And to me, if you can rewatch a movie and find something new in every single, well, not every single one, but in the majority of times that you rewatch that movie and you find something new, to me that makes it a superb elite movie. And to me, a movie like Inception does that. um yeah, Usual Suspects, I would say, does that as well. There's some breadcrumbs to follow. Trying to think. Chinatown, that's one that comes to
Hmm.
mind when you
Okay.
rewatch that movie. So yeah, I would say definitely spoilers are not good, especially for any sort of serious drama, serious crime, or serious thriller movie. You do not want to have an inkling of spoiler content.
Yeah, and that was basically my whole stance, and you know, and listeners know, I take spoilers very seriously. We give spoiler warnings to shows and movies and video games that have long since passed because I don't want anybody to be,
Sorry about my Star Wars one, by the way. I'm just pissed off.
yeah,
I'm just
Rich.
pissed off at the sequel trilogy.
Okay.
I am. The
Um,
the more I think about it, the more it pisses me off. I got in a conversation on text with some of my cousins about it. It really does. So anyway, I'm sorry.
you're like upset about the sequel trilogy, like I was upset about the Eagles. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, I don't want to, and you know, even when we talk just off the show about our own entertainment preferences, you know, we always catch ourselves short and we're always like, oh, you know, I can't say anything more, I don't want to spoil it for you. We take those things pretty seriously because we want people to have the same type of enjoyment that we do in discovering something for the first time. I'm a huge, and my dad can attest to this because he watches movies in the most personally frustrating way possible, in that he'll just turn on a movie that he's never seen before and start watching it like 40% of the way in.
Oh, that's yeah. That's
And that to
bad.
me is an entertainment mortal sin. It doesn't matter whether it's a movie, a TV show, a video game, a book. Could you imagine picking up a book and flipping to chapter 7 and just start reading? So, as somebody who loves entertainment and as a creative, those it really pains me to think that those narratives have been created in a certain way, to flow a certain way, to develop a certain way, that to jump in the middle or to learn of a point, you know, far down the narrative curve, um, it completely undercuts the entire narrative, and I think it ruins the enjoyment, and I think it does a disservice to the creatives that work so hard to create it in a very particular way to deliver a certain emotional and intellectual response. So, for example, something that happened recently that we can both relate to, The Last of Us 2 was spoiled online for a lot of people. And I think that that spoiler, or even the threat of the spoiler, tainted a lot of what people experienced in that game. So going into it, I was not surprised by the big reveal early on in the game of a certain pivotal plot moment because of the reaction to the spoilers. I basically was like, okay, I definitely know what's going to happen, and it's exactly what happened. You know, as soon as things started to play out, I sort of was prepared for it, and it didn't hit me the same way. Same thing with Game of Thrones Red Wedding. I'd always heard people, Red Wedding this, Red Wedding that, Red Wedding this, Red Wedding that. So whenever there was a wedding, I was like, this is the one. And eventually it was the one. And I was like, okay, shocking. But mentally, I had already.
I gotta pull this. You and your family are weird when it comes to weddings. So
What?
you have you. I can imagine you now at like the outside of every wedding, going like, "Ooh, this is the red wedding. This is
This
the
is the
red
Red
wedding.
Wedding.
Behold, this is the red wedding." Because your dad had a bit where I was talking about a story about passing by a Jewish wedding, and I noticed something. I forget what it was. And your dad just came out of nowhere and was like, "Ah, yes, that's a Jewish wedding."
Yeah.
So, like, literally, now I have this impression that every member of your family is
Every
obsessed with weddings.
every member, yeah, every member of my family has a weird thing with certain weddings. My dad is Jewish weddings, me it's red weddings. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know.
Ah, yes. You just point out whichever one
Ah,
it is.
yes.
Yes,
My
that's
mom
a.
likes religious weddings,
Yeah, there you
but
go.
the point is that the spoilers or even the threat of spoilers, even the knowledge of a potential plot twist, I think undercuts and does a disservice to the trajectory of the narrative, which directly impacts people's enjoyment and perception of it. I guess ultimately is my thesis. But what do you think about the opposite side of it? So I've had people say that they don't mind spoilers, and I've seen this online too. People say they don't mind spoilers. They prefer to know what's going to happen. I always hear about people flipping to the last page of the book and reading the last sentence. They just want to know what's going to happen and then see how it all connects up, you know, before they get to that point. I, could you ever you could never envision yourself doing something
No.
like that. That
F-
goes
First,
that's antithesis to what you would do.
First off, I gotta say this as someone who this is gonna sound like I'm stupid, but as someone who doesn't really read a lot of books, if all I did was read, if I instantly jumped to the last page and read the last sentence, I would like almost subconsciously be like, "Oh, I've read the book," and turn away. Like, no, this would be a horrible.
As soon as your hand and eyes hit that last page, in your mind, you've finished the book.
Yeah, that's it. Throw the book away.
So you could conceivably go into Barnes and Nobles and read every book just by flipping to the last page and reading the last sentence.
Yeah, something happens. So no, that's bizarre to me. I don't know, why would you want to. To me, also, that ruins the whole experience of going to actually enjoy or process your viewing experience, of these movie and TV shows that we love so much.
Yeah.
I think that's a great disservice. You should be as completely, if it's truly your first time watching one of these things, yeah, I would say you want to be as blank as completely possible so that you have an objective, view of what happens, and that, you can actually experience what, other people felt, when they watch these movies. Now, some movies it's going to be impossible to do because now some
Right.
things are part of pop culture. So I think it's safe that I can say, I'm sorry, anybody that hasn't seen Empire Strikes Back, but yeah, Vader's Luke's father. That's kind of so iconic now, you can't really get
Right.
around it. So it's tough to recreate that experience, but I would still want, hopefully one day, if I ever have kids, that like they actually get to have the full unspoiled experience of finding that out as best as I
Well,
can.
that's a great point. So you're right. That has transcended into pop culture, and people who might not have seen the movies will know the line. So that's a great example of people, knowing the plot twists, knowing the spoilers, and I still think that maybe I'm trying to put myself in those shoes. Like if I had known that big moment in Empire Strikes Back and watched the movie, I'm trying to determine, and it's impossible for me, whether I would get the same reaction, whether I would have the same reaction. Because do you think that it would hold up? Do you think it would hold up the test of time? Do you think you could go into a movie knowing something like that and still enjoy it and piece it together like a puzzle? Because that's the argument, is that knowing it doesn't inherently ruin the effect if you go into it with the right mindset. And so I like the fact that you brought up Empire Strikes Back, because that is going to be one of those movies down
Mm-hmm.
the line. It's going to be impossible to watch it fresh unless you watch it when you're like 5 years old and you don't understand anything.
That is
Which
why I, as Rich Liebig, head of the Rich Liebig Movie Foundation, I want to start an initiative that all kids need to watch Star Wars movies as young as possible, so that they can have the same relations that I have to these movies.
I like that initiative.
Yeah.
But that aside, being able to wipe it from the cultural subconscious, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It would be, I don't know. I think it would be really really tough to disassociate. See, so I think it comes down to how you actually watch or enjoy your movie or your TV show.
Yeah.
So like for me, I want to be as blank as possible.
Yeah.
So
I want to go on the roller coaster ride of
right.
emotion and Mom, we're recording.
Yeah, ask her opinions on this. Does she want to spoil this? Uh, but yeah, I'm the kind of guy I'd want to be as blank as possible. But I'm
Yeah.
sure there are people out there that can have that mental dissociation, and they can put that away in a separate mental locker and still enjoy the movie.
Yeah. It's very interesting that even though it's antithesis to the way I like to enjoy entertainment, I like to imagine that, all entertainment and art is only complete once it's viewed or experienced. And so if people get the most enjoyment from experiencing it that way, then I guess have at it. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's that's the beauty of it, is that we can experience it in our own way and still get that enjoyment from it. That it's, as art, as entertainment, it's part of how we go into it is what ultimately decides how effective it is. So if that's what makes it effective for you as an individual, then who am I to say otherwise? I personally think it does a disservice to the craft, but it's just something interesting that came up. This whole concept of
Yeah, it was a good little mind experiment. I would still say though, please don't spoil old movies.
No, please. I am the person that does not like to be spoiled. So for me personally, no spoilers for anything ever. Always double check if I've seen or watched or read or played something.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we got to move away from entertainment and we got to hit the last topic in our show. We do sports, entertainment, and odd news. So I always have a weird story for you. And right now we are honoring the Florida women because I have another Florida woman odd news story. So Mike, can you do
who is this effing woman in Florida? It's Florida and they're crazy.
There you go.
See, I can modify the sound clips on the fly now.
Perfect. All right, maybe
you couldn't do that with your fancy soundboard now, could you?
No, unless we recorded it ahead of time. But I have a short but sweet story here for you.
Okay.
We're gonna follow an interesting case here. A Florida woman was arrested for trespassing. Surprise, surprise. But she was hit with a second criminal charge when, after she was being asked to identify herself, she repeatedly told cops an outrageous fake name.
Okay. I love the fake names.
So she decided in her wisdom that she was going to tell the cops that her name was Mybutt Just Farted.
Oh, come on. My butt just farted.
Mybutt is the first. I broke this down, by the way, if you're watching the video, I have the name in the bottom third here. So Mybutt is the first name.
Okay.
Solid my first name. Mybutt. Yeah. How you doing?
Sure, my
Hello.
butt. Hello. I'm Mybutt. It sounds weird to say that. My name is Mybutt.
Yeah. Good day to you, Mybutt.
My butt.
Good day. Good day, my butt.
My butt, you're looking sharp today.
It's a new way to start the morning off.
Yeah.
Give yourself a boost of confidence. Hello, my butt.
Oh, man, my butt is being such a pain.
And her last name is Joosfarted. Joosfarted.
Oh, my God. Joosfarted.
Joosfarted. So,
my butt Joosfarted. This woman thinks she's Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
Calling Mo. Like, really?
Yep. So this all started after she refused to leave a mobile gas station in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Refused to leave the gas? Like, what does that even mean? Like, she was just like
loves
chilling there.
She loves that gas station.
What was she doing there?
It's her favorite place to go to at night.
She's just such a fan.
I love mobile gas stations.
But wait, I don't understand. What do you mean she wouldn't leave? Like, was she getting gas and like she just decided I'm just gonna stay here, or was she just like just chilling the gas station?
She's just there.
She's just there and
she's just there, and she loves this mobile gas station, and she does not want to leave.
Okay, so the police come to drag her away.
Yeah.
And she gives them that name.
Yeah, so she was collared Wednesday evening after refusing to leave the mobile gas station. Following her arrest, she refused to provide her real name to police. Cops asked her multiple times and asked her to write down what her name was, and that's when she said it was Mybutt Just Farted. So there you go. Wonderful female name, Mybutt. Just
Yeah. My butt juice farted.
what a lovely name for a girl.
I like how she decided to try and change up the last name to like make it sound like it was not completely fake.
Yeah, juice farted.
You said it was Joos.
Yeah,
Juice
like it was German.
juice farted.
Hail juice farted. How you doing? So here's where things get good, and I figured you would like this little kick.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, she's either under the influence of drugs or alcohol. By the way, so that probably
I assume
you could probably deduce that.
yeah. It's Florida. It's odd news.
But anyway, cops didn't take too long to find out her real name. First off, they got her fingerprints, so right there, they were able to fingerprint her and find out that she has previous charges, including including other trespassing. So she's done this more than once.
She just has a habit of not wanting to leave places.
Yeah.
Don't ever invite her over because she'll never leave.
She really does not want to leave a party. She'll
She'll just like unfurl a sleeping bag or like set up a tent and be like, "This is my home now."
Yeah, she has. If she's feeling a good time, she ain't leaving.
Oh my god.
My butt. She doesn't leave. My butt doesn't leave.
My butt doesn't leave. My butt doesn't quit.
My butt doesn't quit. Yep.
My butt doesn't quit. No.
So first off, they were able to get fingerprints on her, and she has a previous record. So right there's an instant way to find out what her real name is. But then it turned out while she was getting changed into the orange jumpsuit for jail, she has a tattoo on her back that says her last name of Guerrero. So there you go. She's got her real name on her back.
Her name is literally on her.
Yeah. So it's not gonna work.
No, that's not gonna fly.
So
Why?
yeah.
But it's so clearly fake. Like she could have just been like, "Oh, my name is like Tiffany. I don't know, Tiffany something, Tiffany anything, Tiffany Flowers." You know, there you go. Fake name. Why my butt just juice farted? I mean, she was doing it to be a jerk.
My butt juice farted. Yep.
She was trying to like be a goofball, and it didn't work. You got arrested.
Yeah. So between the fingerprints and the tattoo, they found out her real name was Melinda Lynn Guerrero. Try saying that.
Melinda Lynn.
Yeah, Melinda Lynn.
Melinda Lynn.
Melinda Lynn. Melinda Lynn.
That sounds a little fake too, Melinda Lynn.
No, that's her real name. That's the one. So there you go.
It's got a nice bouncer though, Melinda Lynn.
Melinda Lynn.
It sounds like a sound effect or something, Melinda Lynn.
Melinda Lynn. She's 33 years old, and we've got her mugshot here. So let's see if I can get this loaded on Zoom.
Fantastic.
Here. There you go. There she is.
My
butt just farted. There she is.
My butt is not pretty.
There she is. She's on the Star Destroyer.
She's on the Star Destroyer.
My butt just farted. There she is.
There you go.
She's watching over all the workers. There you go. Good job.
My butt just
farted. That's that'd be funny. She's actually a new Star Wars character. She's Grand Moff just farted.
Grand Moff just farted.
She's the latest admiral. She got promoted.
Just farted.
Grand Moff just farted.
I mean, it does. I guess sound kind of like a sci-fi alien-ish name. Sure, maybe.
There you go. She's
farted.
She's gonna have her own super Star Destroyer one day.
Oh my god.
She'll be in charge. Grand Moff just farted.
Moff just farted.
There you go.
My boot just farted. Yeah, she definitely watched one too many Simpsons episodes.
Yeah.
Of Bart Simpson calling Moe.
And there you go. That's what I have for you in this week's Odd News story. All right, before we wrap this episode up, let's go over apocalypse activities, things that we think you should keep an eye out for, or things we think that you should do. So, Mike, what do you have? What should people do this upcoming weekend?
So, I recently watched a movie on Netflix, In the Tall Grass. I believe it's not a Netflix original. I mean, it was produced by Netflix, based on a Stephen King novella. It didn't do well critically. It only has an average of like 5-ish out of 10 on what is it, Rotten Tomato, I think. So it's not a, if you're looking for the pinnacle of filmmaking, this is not it. What it is, however, is
This is not it.
this is not it. But what it is it's a good supernatural thriller. Very simply, it is about a brother and sister who are traveling across state, and they stop alongside the road in the middle of nowhere America, and because she has to throw up outside the car door for whatever reason, um, and they hear someone off in this field of tall grass shouting for help, and they go into the tall grass, and what ensues is a mind-bending, very time fluid, supernatural plot about people who get lost in this tall grass, and it starts to play tricks on their mind, and it's at times very claustrophobic. You know, if you can imagine being in a cornfield or being in, you know, something where you cannot see anything around you. So that horror element, it does put you on the edge of your seat, and it keeps you guessing, and it's very surreal and abstract and very it's very like mind bending, the whole thing, very cerebral. The acting is average at best. The plot is confused and messy, but for a supernatural horror film, it does a good job of keeping you on the edge of your seat, keeping you guessing, and honestly, keeping you scratching your head the whole time, wondering what the hell is happening. So if you're looking for a wild ride that's a bunch of twists and turns and has a nice little bit of eeriness to it, go check out In the Tall Grass on Netflix. It's a halfway decent movie, and it's only, I think it's an hour and a half, so it's not very, you know, long movie, not too much of an investment, but that's what I would recommend. Everybody's looking for good new horror movies, so this is a fun one that's not too spooky if you don't like the spooky stuff.
Okay, and for me, this is something interesting. Me and Rachel have started a new series to watch, documentary series on HBO called The Vow, which
Okay.
is a documentary series that researches the cult Nexium.
Ooh, that
Uh,
sounds really good.
it
Wait, what
is,
is the cult Nexium? I've never heard of that.
yeah. Uh, this is a cult where they were trying to get people to believe in themselves with some science, with some meditation of the body and stuff like that. Initially, it's actually, it sounds relatively tame and nothing too crazy. Um, but this show is a mini series, and there's 9 episodes, and it takes all 9 episodes for you to get from something that seems relatively harmless and nothing really too crazy, especially when you're coming off of something like Scientology and things that you've heard of in the past.
Right.
Um, this has a very slow burn that creeps up, and
Mm.
when it hits you, that like when something serious has happened, you're almost like, oh my god, how far did we get in this? And it's pretty good at just that slow build from episode to episode. It's 9 episodes, I believe, so it is a little bit of a chunk of time. Each one's an hour long, but it was definitely just unbelievable in the whole scope of it. So if you're looking for another kind of religious cult, and then there's some religious aspects of it. So if you're looking for like that cult kind of documentary, check that out on HBO. It's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cults are always kind of fascinating in a morbid way, so definitely have to check that one out. That sounds good. That was it. The Vow on HBO.
The Vow, yeah. So
Okay.
good, a matter of fact, that apparently I just Googled it, that HBO is going to greenlit a follow up second miniseries to it. So I don't know how exactly they're going to do that, but okay, we'll find out.
Wait, is this an actual Is this fiction or is it nonfiction?
No,
Is it documentary?
this is real.
How are they doing a second season on?
Uh, I I could get
Can't
it.
say.
Yeah, because then it goes into some things that happen on
Spoiler
the
territory.
Right, it's a spoiler. So
Okay.
there you go. And that's appropriate. That officially is a good roundabout way to go over the topics that we had today and officially start to wrap up this episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué. If you like what you heard, make sure that you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you're following us on all the social media platforms. We post funny things as well, so why not give us a follow? And yeah, keep in touch that way.
Yeah, you can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube where you get the video version of the podcast. But you can also get the audio version of the podcast by subscribing to the Crispy Noodle Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. Get the latest episode downloaded for free every week. So make sure you search for, download, and subscribe to the Crispy Noodle Podcast on the podcast service of your choice or YouTube to get the video version.
That's right. And we have a SoundCloud page where you have the mini noodles, the best bits of the show shrunk down into quick promo clips that you can easily listen to and share with friends and family the craziness that is the Crispy Noodle Podcast.
That's right. So many ways to share and get in touch with the Crispy Noodle. But if you want to get in touch with us individually to share your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostinzo.
And I am at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. You can find us on the Twitters. Let us know what's happening. If you have a story idea that you want us to talk about next week, send it our way, and we'll give you a Crispy Noodle shout out if you want when we talk about the topic of your choice. But for right now, we gotta wrap this up. Mike, anything else you want to say?
No, everybody, continue to enjoy your fall and stay safe out there.
All right. Well, this has been the Crispy Compact Communique of 2020 variant of the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. That's going to do it. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Later. Bye-bye.